Go.
What's up, FA Nation? It's Ryan Hallam back with you with another edition of Fantasy Alarm TV. Today, my guest is usually the man behind the camera, but it's good to see him on this side and let him get some of his opinions out for once. Find him on Twitter, of course, at The Salesman, Matt Sells. How are you today, Matt?
I'm doing pretty well. You know, it's 4th of July holiday weekend. A little bit strange of a 4th of July holiday weekend. Fireworks have been canceled around us here. They have been for a while. So, not your typical go have a cookout and fireworks type 4th of July, but we'll make it through.
Yeah, we actually, in my town, they are having fireworks, but you're supposed to stay in your car. So hopefully people listen to that. I don't know.
Drive-in fireworks?
That's what the plan is. They moved it away from like a place where they usually shoot them off a lot of bars and restaurants to a very pretty nondescript part of town. So hopefully there won't be too much gathering there. But yeah, it's definitely a different kind of 4th of July this weekend. But still the holiday, get together with your family and the people close to you and hopefully have a good, safe time. But we are here to do another fun stream here for Fantasy Alarm. We're going to do a 3-point play today. For those of you who may not have seen one before, we're going to have 3 topics, and Matt and I are each going to take a side or part of the argument, and we're going to give you 3 reasons why we think that we have the right opinion. So if you are ready, Matt, let's go right into part 1.
I'm definitely ready. Let's do this.
All right, so I do a quarterback article weekly for Fantasy Alarm. Several of mine were comparing one guy to another that I felt were pretty close at ADP. So for a little different, I'm going to go to running back, and we're going to go right to the top of the draft. Pretty much everyone's taking Christian McCaffrey first. I think there's some disagreements between 2 and 3. Some folks have Saquon Barkley. Some folks have Zeke Elliott. Where do you stand on this close race?
They are pretty close. In my opinion, that's the reason they're also going 2 and 3, and you can basically split hairs. I've seen them, go and flip-flop in multiple drafts. But I am taking the Zeke Elliott side of the argument here. Reason number 1, he's just flat-out dominated in his 4 years in the NFL. The only year he didn't have 1,000 yards rushing was the year in which he only played 10 games, and at that point, he already had 983 yards rushing. And to go along with that, he catches a lot of passes. So it's not just the rushing yards. It's not just, what can you do for me on the ground. He actually catches a lot of passes. He actually caught Saquon Barkley last year. Reason number 2, and for running backs, this is highly important, the offensive line is simply better in Dallas than it is in New York. It just is. There's no... Whether or not Dallas still has the number 1 offensive line in the league can kind of be debated, but it's still a whole heck of a lot better than the New York Giants offensive line, which means a lot more gaps for Zeke Elliott to run through, and also in the off chance that they don't actually hold their protection, Zeke still has time to go catch one of those dump-off screen passes from Dak Prescott. Point number 3, there's a lot more weapons on the Cowboys offense than there is on the Giants offense. Now, that might sound like an odd point to make if you're saying, why am I going to take a guy if there's so many weapons? That means he's facing a lot less crowded boxes than Saquon Barkley is, because you've got to cover Amari Cooper. You've now got to cover CeeDee Lamb. You've got to cover a couple other wide receivers that showed up and had big year, Michael Gallup and, a couple other guys. So it's not just put 10 guys in a box and stop the run game. There's a lot more going on to the Dallas offense that is still predicated on the run. So that means a lot more opportunities for Zeke Elliott to not face 10-man boxes. That's why I'm taking Zeke as the number 2 running back.
All valid points. I can't argue with you, especially the offensive line. That is definitely something that the Giants have tried to work on and have failed up to this point. I know they did some more this year, but it's very, very hard to argue with any of your points there. I'm going to go with Barkley, and I was put in this position in the FSGA American Conference Draft, and I did take Saquon Barkley. And here are the reasons that I did it. Number 1, I'm going to kind of piggyback off of a couple of yours, and one is the pass catching ability. He did outcatch him last year. Saquon caught 91 in his rookie season. Now, pretty much the Giants receivers all went down in 2018, and they did have Eli Manning. So the offense was a little different. It was kind of like the Eagles last year, where they just had nobody left. I mean, that was the Giants offense in 2018. But Barkley got 121 targets and caught 91 passes. So that's really impressive. He definitely showed the ability to be a workhorse. He had 2,000 total yards in his rookie season and over 1,500 last year. He missed 3 games with a high ankle sprain. And if you really watched, he came back too soon. There was several games where he was clearly compromised, although he was on the field. Still ended up with 1,500 total yards. So he is just the all-purpose back. Number 2, he has really no competition for carries. Now, Tony Pollard is not going to take much from Zeke. This is kind of splitting hairs a little bit. But the Giants have nobody. I mean, they have Dion Lewis, who is strictly a pass catcher, maybe 3 or 4 carries a game, and Wayne Gallman behind him, who's had a couple opportunities to start with Barkley hurt and has done nothing with it. So basically there's going to be almost no other rushing carries coming from anyone else besides Barkley on the Giants. And 3 is, this is the other point that I'm going to kind of take the other half from you, is they don't have as many good receivers. You talked about Amari Cooper, you talked about Michael Gallup, and now they brought in CeeDee Lamb. Those are definitely 2 guys who are going to get 100 targets, and we'll see what Lamb does if he comes up with 75. The Giants' top 3 receivers, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, Golden Tate. Between the 3 of them, and throw in Evan Engram, too, the tight end, who's great but can't stay healthy. Between the 4 of them, they had 4 1,000-yard seasons in their entire careers, all of them put together. And they all came from Golden Tate, and they all came from like 4 years ago and back. So the Giants don't have that big weapon that needs the ball, that's going to get the ball quite like the Cowboys have. So I feel like there are more opportunities for those dump-off passes, for designed play calls for the ball to be thrown to Saquon Barkley. So it's very close. I think Zeke is going to end up with more rushing yards. I do believe Barkley will probably do more in the passing game. But given the choice, and like I said, I did have the choice once, I went with Saquon Barkley. This one's really tough. I think this one is one that really gets a lot of attention and a lot of arguments. So, obviously, we can't really make this call here. I'm going to put a poll on Twitter around when this airs and see who people think took the right side of this one.
Yeah, I just feel like with Saquon, if you don't get that one explosive play for 40 or 60 yards, then the rushing yards don't necessarily rack up that much. I did have Saquon in his rookie year, so that was another. That's another all-pro running back I had in their rookie year. I also had Adrian Peterson in his rookie year way back when. But to me, I need consistency out of my number 1 running back, and that's Zeke, and just the opportunity is there for him. Even with the targets you bring up, yes, they're going to have potentially 300 target wide receivers. Okay, but the wide receivers for the Giants haven't really put up the yardage because they have had terrible quarterback play the last 3 years. Eli Manning is terrible, and that's why he was basically forced out of New York. Daniel Jones, yeah, he's looked pretty decent, but,
I like it.
Have we really seen all that much out of him? And you also brought up the fact that in 2018, everybody got injured. So there wasn't really the opportunities for them to rack up the 100-target seasons like Amari Cooper has and Michael Gallup has and, potentially CeeDee Lamb and,
Who are you taking, FA Nation? Are you taking Zeke? You taking Barkley? Let's see. Who do you side with, me or Matt? Let's move on to number 2, Matt. And this is always a really, I don't want to say fun, but some kind of like a baseball cliche. Whenever you have people talking, debating players, or you say your life on the line. Who do you want? Who do you want to take the ball? So I thought that might be fun. Everybody always says gun to your head, but I'm not going to say that. So life on the line. You had to get your team to win the game, or you had to get a really great outing. Which current starting pitcher do you want on the mound? Say if you had to bet the house, bet every dollar that you owned to get a win or a quality start, which current guy would you want?
I'm going with Max Scherzer on this one. For those of you that know me and follow my stuff, you'll realize that I am a Nationals fan, much to the chagrin of Ryan over here, who we knocked out his Cardinals last year.
Gotta get the dig, huh?
Yeah, and Jen's still bitter about the World Series loss. But I got to go with Max Scherzer. And reason number one, I'll get to the stats later, but this is a purely, um, I guess, subjective argument here. He's just a pit bull that does not want to come off the mound ever. Like, the guy's attitude is give me the ball, let me go, and don't come bug me when you think I'm tired. I mean, we've all seen the clips of him snarling at his various managers throughout the year, just yells no, and Davey Martinez turns around and goes back to the dugout before he even reaches the baseline. So, like, I want a guy who wants to be out there, wants that ball, says, I'm going to give you all I have for as long as I can do it, and just leave me alone. I mean, heck, last year he broke his own nose in batting practice and went out and took his scheduled start, and it was a masterpiece. It was arguably one of the best starts he'd had all year because he was pissed at himself for breaking his own nose. Point number two. For the last 7 consecutive seasons, Max Scherzer has not dropped worse than 5th on the Cy Young Award voting. Say what you will about the Cy Young Award and whatnot. There's plenty to debate there. But a guy who out of the last 7 years has been a top 5 pitcher in baseball for 7 straight years, that says something. And in the last 4, he's been no worse than 3. And oh, by the way, he's won 3 of them, which I believe is the most of any active pitcher in baseball at the moment, including 1 in each league. Point number 3. Guy strikes out a ton of dudes. You have to go back all the way to 2012 to find the last time he didn't strike out more than 231 hitters in a season. Okay, so strikeouts per 9 over that span is well into the double digits. If we're going with a guy who's going to minimize mistakes, I'm going to take a guy who struck out the most amount of dudes in baseball over the last 7 years. That's Max Scherzer. He also doesn't allow very many base runners. In fact, in 2019 was the first year in the last 5 years his whip was above 1, and his whip in 2019 was 1.02. So it's not even like really above 1. It's kind of barely above 1. So I'm going to go with Max Scherzer because he has the attitude to want to be there. He's very effective when he's on the mound. And he's been one of the top 5 pitchers in baseball for 7 consecutive seasons.
I have had Max Scherzer on multiple fantasy teams over the past few years, so that one's hard to argue with. I'm going to go with who I think the best guy of the last couple years with, even if his win total doesn't say it. I'm going to go with Jacob deGrom of the New York Mets. And I'm going to give again. I'm going to one. My first one is the strikeouts. It seems Scherzer might have done it a little bit longer, but Major League Baseball has become such a strikeout, home run, strikeout, home run, strikeout, home run. So DeGrom's been 4th in strikeouts in each of the past 2 years and 2nd in 2017. He's been over 239 in all 3 of those seasons and still is not quite the longevity of Scherzer, but he's been right up there the past few years. Number 2 is the consistency. 3 straight seasons of 200 innings, at least 10 wins, 240 strikeouts. He takes the ball every time he goes out there. Same thing, he doesn't want to be touched. He doesn't want to get the manager don't bother. He's out there to go as long as he possibly can and do the best that he can. And 3 is he's kind of pitched like his life's on the line for the last 2 years. I mean, the Mets have a terrible offense, and he knows if he gives up a run or 2, he's going to take the loss. I mean, he's been a back-to-back Cy Young. He's got an ERA under 2.5 for the last 2 seasons, and he has 21 wins in 60-some starts. I mean, that's just heartbreaking for the guy, whether you like the Mets or not. And clearly you don't, if you're a Nationals fan, and I don't either. But
I'm also a Yankees fan, so yeah, no.
I feel bad for the guy that he just goes out there and pitches his heart out time after time, and either the bullpen blows it or he gets 1 run of support. He's pitched with just like a pinhead's worth of wiggle room for the last 2 years, and still he went right back out and signed a long-term contract with the Mets to stay there instead of maybe trying to go somebody with an offense. He has a nice pitcher's park there at Citi Field. But yeah, it's kind of the same reason, just the strikeouts, the attitude, and just he has really just had to pitch so tightly over the past couple of years that if I feel every dollar I feel like DeGrom is going to try to take the best care he can of my bank account.
Yeah, I mean, I can't fault you for that argument. Those two guys have been going back and forth for the NL Cy Young each of the last like 3 or 4 years. We basically could pencil them in for being contenders again, even in this shortened 2020 season. I just didn't really want to make the argument for a Mets pitcher is is really the issue there.
Yeah, I mean, you took my first one. I was coming up after,
I mean, you
once
could always go Verlander too. I mean, that guy's,
Yeah,
you
but
know.
he had those couple years where he kind of stunk before this
Yeah, but then
resurgence.
he
That's
got
why I didn't pick him.
rejuvenated going to. Yeah, but the other advantage for Scherzer over Verlander is that Scherzer's like 3 years younger than Verlander. So, and there's the experience with the National League. You get the better lineups to pitch against. So,
Funny part is neither one of us went with Clayton Kershaw, who was the man for the longest time, and now
I love Clayton Kershaw as a former left-handed pitcher myself. I say former because I can't really pitch anymore. But yeah, he just, I mean, I know that his numbers are great the last several years, but he's just not out there enough for me at this point. He hasn't topped 200 innings in the last 5 seasons.
Quite a while, yeah.
And if my life's on the line, I got to go with a guy who's going to put in, the work and, have the stamina to go that far and not just be like a 5-inning guy, which is basically what Kershaw has turned into.
Definitely. So, is it Scherzer? Is it DeGrom? Let us know. Comment. Hit us up on Twitter. Let us know who had the better half of that one. And the third one, we're going to do a little fun. If you follow me on Twitter at Fighting Chance, of course, you see that I'm in the middle of yet another bracket tournament that I've been doing while we've all been stuck inside, which right now is the best cereal of all time. We are still in the first round, so we're not near the completion yet. But let's pick our winner right now, Matt. I'm going to go first on this one since it is my bracket, and I've let you go first the first 2 times. I'm going to go with it's got to be my favorite childhood cereal, which is Lucky Charms. And here are my 3 reasons. 1, you get a little bit of the health with the oat parts. Not really, but it's a little bit. And then you get the deliciousness of the marshmallows. I mean, and they keep coming up with new marshmallows. I mean, when I was a kid, it was like pink hearts, orange stars, red balloons, yellow moons, and green clovers. Now we've got rainbows, we've got hourglasses, purple horseshoes. They always made commercials like trying to unveil the new marshmallows. They kept you interested on TV. It's always trying to bend fun. And the best is to, you eat it normal for the big, and then when you start getting to the end, you eat all the oats. So then you just have a big glob of marshmallows at the bottom, not mushrooms. That'd be terrible. Big glob of marshmallows at the end to just really bring on the cavities and the diabetes. So that's 1, the fun of Lucky Charms. 2, I mean, they're just delicious. It's a lot of sugar. And the marshmallows are great. And even, like I said, the oats aren't healthy. It's all just covered in sugar. It's great. It's a great way to start your day to give you a lot of energy. I mean, you probably crash 2 hours later from the sugar high. But, man, when you first get done, you probably run through a wall after eating this stuff. So that is my number 2 for Lucky Charms. And number 3, got to be the leprechaun, man. He's a great mascot. The kids can never catch him. He calls it magically delicious. It's delicious. It's fun. There's shapes, there's marshmallows. It just gives you a little bit of everything, and it's just a real fun way to start your day. And the after milk isn't bad. I mean, it's not as good as the chocolate cereals, but you get all those marshmallows melting a little bit into the milk, and you just drink that all up at the end for just you don't want to let any of that good sugar go to waste. And man, just go out and just hit your day. Forget coffee, slam yourself some Lucky Charms and go. So that is my Lucky Charms, and those are my 3 reasons.
While Lucky Charms is what I would consider my favorite cheat cereal, if I'm going to go have a sweet and kind of candy-ish cereal, Lucky Charms would be at the top of my list for that one, but that's not actually my favorite cereal. Okay. If we're going with cereal purposes here. Cheerios, regular plain Cheerios is
classic.
My favorite cereal of all time. I get made fun of by a lot of people, including my wife, that I don't like the sugary, treat type cereals. But no, I like to start my day off with a good, healthy breakfast. And that's point number 1, is that Cheerios are actually healthy for you. The oats are actually healthy. They're not the sugar-coated oats in the Lucky Charms and the other ones, and they're not honey-coated like in Honey Nut Cheerios.
Those are the best. Those are my favorite.
They're actually healthy for you. You get a good start to a day. You get this nice slow burn energy that they give you. and you mix it with some nice milk. Then you get the healthiness of the milk and the healthiness of the Cheerios. Nice, solid way to start your day. Point number 2. Let's say you get hungry mid-afternoon for a snack. Instead of reaching for some bag of chips or, some other, those little mini cups of cereal that they put out like in hotels or whatever. My kids have those all over the place. Usually the sugary cereals are in there. Instead, go for a bowl of Cheerios or just handfuls of plain Cheerios. Is delicious too. And then you have yourself a healthy snack that you don't feel bad about having, a terrible snack that you now got to go work off in the gym, or you got to do extra walking in the afternoon to go burn the sugar calories you just had. You get a healthy snack out of it. Point number 3. You can mix just about anything into a bowl of Cheerios. I had it when I was a kid. I used to have it with yogurt. I would take vanilla yogurt and just, instead of the milk, and just put Cheerios, and then it's delicious. You could put fruit in there. Yes, Jen Piacenti, that means bananas.
Bananas, yes.
Bananas going on there. Blueberries are on there. Strawberries are delicious on there. You can even have it with some granola cereal, or granola yogurt, rather. So, you get some crunchiness from the granola, and you get the crunchiness from the Cheerios, and you get the yogurt. And so with a lot of the other cereals, you can't mix stuff with it. It's just you eat it with milk instead of, mixing it into, a nice little parfait or whatever. So Cheerios for me have got to be my favorite, because not only are they healthy, they also provide you nice afternoon snack without feeling guilty. They're also delicious. And number 3, they're also very versatile. So that would be my favorite cereal of all time.
I had it with bananas. I never tried it with any of the other stuff, but that's definitely interesting. So back to the afternoon snack. I remember a couple months ago I came on the Family Times with you guys, and the
You made fun of Fensty and I, calling us toddlers.
Was the best cereals, at which you brought up Cheerios, and Fensty had said, yeah, I just pack them for an afternoon snack, and what are you, a toddler? I had never known another adult.
Yep, I do it all the time.
On dry Cheerios. So the funny thing was, one day I was at the store shortly after that, and I'm like, you know what? I gave him a hard time. I'll try it. So I did grab one of those plastic cups of Cheerios that you're talking, and I left in my car, and I was eating them while I was driving. I'm like, you know what? This isn't bad. It wasn't.
No, it's akin to eating dry crackers.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. When I was a kid, if I ate Cheerios, or Rice Krispies, I put sugar on top of them. I'm not gonna lie. My parents didn't pay attention. I had sugar cereals, and when we had healthy cereals, I put sugar on top of them to begin with. So I just never envisioned just eating dry Cheerios. But after I gave you guys a hard time, I did go out and try it. It was still pretty good. I haven't done it again, but yeah, I can't. I'm not gonna bust your chopstick about it again. It actually wasn't a bad idea.
Yeah, and then you don't feel guilty about it, having it as an afternoon snack quite as bad as you would about packing on a pound of Lucky Charms marshmallows, or some other, a fruit roll up, or which isn't really fruit, it's just flavored corn syrup in a sticky roll. Yeah, so that would be Cheerios. It can't really be beaten for me.
So they are both 2 seeds in my tournament, Lucky Charms and Cheerios. So we'll see what comes out in front. And based on the results of the polls through the first few days, Matt, I got to tell you, I have a feeling, although Cheerios did win easily, the sugary cereals have been dominating so far.
They have been dominating, but Cheerios did wallop. Who was it up against? It was, I don't remember now. Yeah, it walloped. The last time I saw it, it was up to 96% in favor of Cheerios.
Yeah,
but I think that was early in the poll, though.
So we'll see what happens. Again, let us know who you think is better, the Lucky Charms or the Cheerios. We'll see how many kids at heart out there, or how many heart-healthy adults we have watching this
show. Yeah, Cheerios also come in heart shapes, too. The heart-healthy Cheerios come in heart shapes.
So, man, I've appreciated doing these little debates with you. Again, we did Zeke and Barkley. We did the pitcher with your life on the line, and we did the best cereal. And I think we both made our valid points on both of them. So we'll see who people think did the best. But again, go to Fantasy Alarm. I know you've got some stuff coming up this weekend for the NASCAR race.
Yeah, Dan Malin and I have the NASCAR races covered. Both Xfinity and Cup Series races this weekend at Indianapolis. there's a whole ton of stuff. There's football draft guide content coming out. I just recently had a piece come out about the red zone. Got another one coming out at the end of July. I know Hallam had some pieces come out recently. Yeah, just all sorts of stuff coming out. We got NBA coming back soon. We got baseball coming back in like 3 weeks. So yeah, ton of content coming out.
FantasyAlarm.com/NFL Draft Guide. Get it while it's hot. Yes, I have a piece coming out tomorrow, the next day, about identifying injured players as well as things just change, and we update it as things happen. It's not like a magazine where you get it and then 2 weeks later it's nonsense because people are hurt or people are traded. We have the living draft guide, and it's always being updated to help you guys with your draft. So head over to Fantasy Alarm. Of course, subscribe there. Follow Matt on Twitter at The Salesman. I'm at Fighting Chance. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Fantasy Alarm. Follow us on Instagram at Fantasy Alarm. And of course, subscribe to Fantasy Alarm on YouTube so you can see this and so many other great pieces that we put out on a daily basis. Thank you all for watching.